Good evening, ghoulies, and welcome to Dream Scream, where you and I blue sky the haunts we deserve. Quick orientation since we're all new here. I'm Kaylin Kelly, and I've worked in themed entertainment for over a decade, but here is where I will be creative directing imaginary haunt experiences with you. We'll do some existing IPs, we'll do some fan favorite rumors, we might even do a couple original concepts with virtually zero constraints, because this is all made up and I can do whatever I want. Consider the comment section an open mic for your ideas. I will be reading all of them, we will be discussing it. I want this to feel like a group project, like we're playing in the sandbox together. So now let's get into tonight's dream, Sinners. Club Juke is just asking to be turned into an immersive haunt experience. There are very few horror IPs that create a place fans actually want to be in, and we're inviting guests in to revel in the joy of live music and libations. Plus, it's one single location, a night out partying at a club, which means a blues band, dancing, and directing the audience's attention to focus on the story beats with ease. Club Juke is a 360-degree immersive celebration of music and culture, but something just outside is waiting to be invited in. I'm going to read this next part because I want to make sure it's very, very clear, and I don't want to mince words, okay? The vampires and sinners serve as a metaphor for white supremacy, oppression in the Jim Crow South, and of course, cultural appropriation. But that subject matter and the very real continued trauma behind it is not raw material for our horror entertainment. So naturally, that will rule out certain settings or scares some of you may be expecting. Good. With that said, here's my thesis for this build. Club Juke exists as a sanctuary, and the horror in this haunt only ever comes from the supernatural threat trying to get in, the vampires. The joy of the club is sacred, and the horror is what invades it. Everybody builds a scary vampire maze. I'm building a place you'd actually want to spend an evening. Now, what happens at the end of that evening, well, that's the twist, and I'm saving it for later. So now I'd like to usher you into our theater of the mind and walk you through Club Juke, the immersive Sinners experience. If you don't know, I'm a big theme park girly, which I assume a lot of you are as well, so let's consider this first step the pre-show. Upon entering, you'll see the facade of a home that's indicative of the time period. This is really just to signal to you, the audience, that we are stepping back in time to the 1930s. When you enter the home, you'll be in sort of a living room setup that's big enough to accommodate a sizable party. You all will be populating the Juke joint this evening, so think 75 to 100 people. The door will close behind you, and after a brief waiting period, you will hear a knock at that door. Cue actor number one. Whoever is closest to the door will invite them in, you'll chat with them a little bit, and then you'll hear the sound of crows flying above you, at which point, audio stinger, blackout. Some of you who are really looking might see a pair of glowing eyes, and then the lights return to normal. And if you're thinking, this sounds a lot like the stretching room in Haunted Mansion, you're right. Once the light has returned to normal, that actor will take our guests out the back door of this house and we'll see the main attraction, Club Juke. Once you enter Club Juke, the party really begins. We will have an actual bar with actual drinks. There will be characters populating the space around you, some that you recognize from the film, some with their own unheard backstories, and there will definitely be blues musicians playing on stage. Smoke and Stack will definitely be milling about. You might see them behind the bar. They could be up in the rafters on an elevated platform having a conversation with Sammy or Mary. Annie will also be over by the bar interacting with patrons. We'll have actual bartenders making and serving the drinks while Annie is able to chat with guests. Cornbread will be hanging out by the door. You'll see Delta Slim. He might even get up and perform a song for us if we're lucky. We'll also see Pearline, Grace, Bo, and again, other random characters. After a short time, you've gotten your drinks, you're acquainted with the space, Sammy will be called up to perform. And thus begins the iconic I Lied sequence. We'll be surrounded by musicians and dancers in a faithful recreation of one of the most incredible scenes I've ever seen in a film. If you're unfamiliar with the scene or you want to know more about it and how it was shot, I'm going to include a link in the description that gives a really cool walkthrough of how they filmed it. As the music swells, we'll use strategic lighting and atmospheric haze, and we'll see the roof of the Juke joint going up in flames. I've actually been trying to think of a way to use hollow gauze in this attraction because ever since I learned what hollow gauze is, I've wanted to use it desperately. And this might be a cool way to do it. You could have hollow gauze as the ceiling, and since it's rear projected, it could look just like the beams of the ceiling at first, and then you could turn it into fire. But you might not need hollow gauze for that. You might just be able to do it with a different sort of rear projection. Not entirely sure, but some sort of projection effect would be sick. Nate Weber, you're the technical director, so let me know what we can do, but don't tell me how much it costs because money is fake and this is all made up. Thank you. The Allied performance ends, our blues band stays on stage, maybe a little more energized than they were before. The dance floor is full, everyone's having a good time. And our next featured performance is Pearline's song, Pale Pale Moon. Those who were standing where we entered the room might hear a faint scream in the distance as the opening wail of the song starts. This is a mirror of the scene in the film where Mary is outside getting attacked by Remick and friends while Pearline inside starts her song. The finale of Pale Pale Moon will also mirror the film. We'll hear gunshots, which will direct our audience's attention to see vampire Mary fleeing the building with Smoke and Sammy looking very distraught. And as you look around, you may notice that a few of our other characters have also gone missing. Whoever is left will usher you out of the building, and this is where probably my most insane idea comes from. This next thing would actually be the first thing that finance would cut if this ever really went to production. But here's the thing. At Dream Scream, imagination has no budget, okay? So hear me out. Club Juke is built on a very, very slowly rotating platform. Theme park nerds, think Rise of the Resistance transport ship. While you've been inside partying, the building has been slowly turning so that when you exit out the door that you came through, the landscape is completely different. At this point in the experience, we're gonna go through what is a more traditional haunt maze walkthrough, what I'm calling the meanwhile. You'll be taken through a series of vignettes that show you what's been happening while you've been in the Juke joint partying and what is concurrently happening while you are seemingly making your escape. You'll see Mary getting turned by Remick and his crew, vampire Stack behind a door banging to be let out, a strategic angle of vampire Cornbread outside the entrance getting shot, turning towards you to reveal his mangled face, vampire Bo Chow begging to be let in, and Remick with his signature Sammy lurching towards you. Most of these will be executed as standard haunt jump scares with a light and sound trigger. At the end of the final hall, I would love to use a Pepper's Ghost effect to emulate this insanely cool backlit shot of Remick. And then the final room will open up to reveal the entire gang of vampires performing Rocky Road to Dublin. This will be a 360-degree immersive moment, and we're pulling out all of the typical scare zone scares here. The vampires will be reaching for you, they'll be stalking you, they'll be all up in your personal space, but you won't touch them and they won't touch you because why? We're respectful of our performers, thank you. This would ideally be another live music performance, but I actually think it would be a hybrid of live and pre-recorded music. I definitely want Remick singing live, but I also don't want to see cables attached to the instruments for amplification. So I think we would probably have some pre-recorded tracks for the instruments, some live vocals in the space, and additional vocals on the track. Because this needs to feel like everything is surrounding you, not only visually, but sonically as well. At the end of the scene, we'll sneak you back into the Juke joint, most likely during the everybody has to eat garlic scene. I'm not exactly sold that that has to be the scene. You can feel free to tell me what you suggest it would be, but it just needs to be something that indicates we are no longer out of time in this montage moment. We are now back in the timeline of events. Whatever the scene is, as the final guests start to re-enter the room, it transitions into the moment where our poor girl, Grace Chow, loses her ever-loving mind. The actors turn towards the back of the room, directing the audience's attention with them, where we see Grace and hear her guttural cry, "Come on in, you motherfucker!" How you doing? A projection on the right wall shows her fire bottle soaring through the air, and as this projection reaches the corner, strobe flash, pitch blackout, walls fly, lights up, vampires running towards you. This moment is a combination of two of my favorite effects. Again, theme park nerds, this is for you. Picture the end of Poseidon's Fury from Islands of Adventure where Taylor has the trident and Darkanon wants it. Taylor screams, the room goes black. We hear Darkanon's voice, and when the lights come back up, we are now in the chamber of Poseidon. This video is my best friend Dee as Taylor. Hi Dee, I bet you didn't know I had this video. Thanks, Ed Marie. After the walls fly, the vampires will then rush towards you in a sequence inspired by another one of my favorite haunt effects, the scaremony, in which the performers run at you, but you have to run towards them instead of away from them. I don't know if a scaremony is the official name for it, but that's how Halloween Horror Nights always uses this effect, is during their scaremonies or at like the beginning of Terror Tram in Hollywood. There's a different name for it, let me know. But the point is, the threat is coming at you and you have to run towards it. Now, this scene and Rocky Road to Dublin involve a huge cast of of vampires, as well as some pretty wild effects. But again, say it with me this time, imagination has no budget. And imagine the feeling of being safe back inside Club Juke, and then all of a sudden, there is no longer a barrier between you and the vampires you've been scared of all night. This epic adrenaline rush brings us almost to the end of our night. As you make your way out, lighting effects will simulate the coming sunrise while the music plays from Remick and Sammy's final battle. You enter one last hallway to find old musician Sammy sitting at the bar, talking to us as we pass by. Keen eyes will see the mirror behind the bar and notice that something's missing. So let me ask you, when did you realize you were the vampire? Some folks believe that a twist must be unmissable, while others believe that the journey is what's sacred. Throughout this video and throughout the concept, I have scattered hints that you, the audience at this immersive experience, are indeed vampires. Did you catch them? That's tonight's open mic topic for the comments. I made the reveal quiet on purpose. No big announcement, no big moment, just clues here and there and a mirror on your way out. But if you've watched this whole video, I know you have opinions and I really want to hear them. Was keeping it subtle the right call? Would you have gone bigger? And if so, how? I'm really proud of this, but I'm also really looking forward to talking about this with you. So get to typing, or actually you can head over to Instagram and send me a voice memo. That's it for tonight's episode of Dream Scream. Be sure to subscribe because next time we're waking up in the upside down. Until then, good night, ghoulies.